This I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Every man according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. The liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself. Giving can be done through Patreon, PayPal, or Cash App. All links are in the description. As stated over the years, if you do give, let it be in accordance with the scriptures. Love you. Let's get it. How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to Stand Focused for Jesus. Hope each and every one of you are having a blessed day in the Lord Jesus Christ as always. Today is Thursday, March 21st, 2024. Thursday, March 21st, 2024. The time is currently 1:01 p.m. and we are back with another controversial sermon. Oh my God. He's saying that black folks shouldn't marry white folks and white folks shouldn't marry black folks. Love is love. Before I begin, get out your feelings. Should Hebrew Israelites of the flesh date, marry white women according to the Bible? Not according to your feelings, not according to what you think, not according to what you feel and think is love. Should Hebrew Israelites of the flesh date or marry white women according to the Bible? The answer is no. But we're going to break it down, and we're going to break it all the way down. Now, I know there are some simple-minded people, so I got to say this. The Bible telling Hebrew Israelites to not date or marry white women has nothing to do with racism or there not being any beautiful white women. It has to do with the scriptures and what the Most High said. Because I done seen some white women, and some of you seen some white women, and they put some black women to shame. Because I don't know who lied and said that black don't crack. But black do crack. But it's something that we like to tell ourselves. Now we know things can be a little bit different depending on the person, depending on that lineage, where you can have a older black person that looks younger than what they are, but it doesn't mean that there aren't white people out there like that also. It doesn't mean that there aren't, we call so-called black people that look way older than their age. Now, before I go deeper into the sermon, I do want to say this. Yes, I'm speaking about white women, but what you will find out, I'm kind of like giving it away, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to you because I know some people, they can't wait to the end of the video. They can't watch the whole video. I'm using white women as an example, but the sermon isn't exclusive to white women. Meaning, when I say that should Hebrew Israelites of the flesh date or marry white women, it's not exclusive to Hebrew Israelites of the flesh dating white women, because there is a majority of black women that Hebrew Israelites according to the flesh should also not be dating or marrying. But you got to put the bait out there to get the people. Nah, I got you. So come on, let's get it. The question was ask yourself is why. Now, again, we're sticking with the topic of white women, but you just heard what I said. The question is why. Why should Hebrew Israelites of the flesh not date or marry white women? Let's go here first. I want to read this. And God said, let us make man in our image, right? After our likeness, And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. So God created man and woman in his image. This deals with the spiritual image and the physical image. If anybody tells you that you're wrong because you're black and you want to marry black and have black children, that makes you racist. It's a lie straight from the pits of hell. If you're white and you want to marry white and have white children, and somebody tells you, oh, that's wrong, that's white supremacy or black supremacy, man, tell them folks to kick rocks. When God made Adam and Eve, he made them in his image. Now we know that Adam and Eve had physical skin. We know what color that skin is. We know what the skin color of Christ is. Let me also make sure that I plug this or connect this, because I know some people, they don't know this. I understand what we say when we say black and white people, but technically, there is no such thing as white people. White people, as we know them, they are on a DNA level, they are technically black. Now we can go deeper with it, but I don't think a lot of people are ready for that type of conversation. Technically, white people are black. They are what we call albino. If you go look up what albino means, the actual definition. I know we can go deeper with it and stuff like that. Albinism is in the Bible. I'm not going to get into too many details on that. But if you go look up the word albino, matter of fact, let's go ahead and do it. Y'all give me a second. It shouldn't take long. We're going to type in albino. Don't be offended by the truth. It says a person of pale, milky complexion with light hair and pink eyes. Of course, it can be that, but it comes from Latin albus, which literally means white. Now, historically, they applied it to white spotted African Negroes, Negroes that had albinism. But albino literally means white. That's what it means. That's what it means. Now, we can go deeper with it, but again, at its core, it literally means white. Okay? Now, a person being quote unquote black, Hebrew, or Hamite is deeper than skin. We can go into talking about the pineal gland, and how that affects the thinking, the social structure of how people think and stuff like that. There are many books out there on that. Some of you have studied that stuff. The pineal gland, where a lot of melanin can be and is produced, because melanin is a chemical, but is not exclusive to skin color. A person can be lighter, but they still produce more melanin than a person that is darker. It just happens that the melanin production in their skin, for whatever reason, the genes and stuff like that, it produced more in their skin to give them a darker complexion. Melanin is not exclusive to skin color. Just because a person is darker doesn't mean that they produce more melanin overall. Yes, in regards to melanin and melanocytes and stuff like that, yes, they are darker in that sense. But what makes us what we call black is deeper than skin. It's deeper than skin, because you have quote unquote white people that are darker than some quote unquote black people. Yet when you look at that white person that is darker than that black person, you still know that person is what we call white, and that light skinned person that's lighter than that white person is still black. Let's not play games now. So therefore, being what we call black is deeper than your skin color. We have all shades of black. My wife is what we call light-skinned. Light-skinned. You see her legs? Her legs can look kind of, you know what I'm saying, like, hey baby, you need to get in that sun. But does that mean that she's white? No, she wouldn't pass for a white woman. There's nothing about her that could pass for a white woman, not even her skin color. Her hair can't pass for a white woman. Her facial features cannot pass for a white woman. There's nothing about her that can pass for a white woman. But she's light-skinned. Yet she's still black. Now y'all know I'm gonna break it down from A to B to C to Z. This is simple stuff, but we know the complicated things, the complexity is made up of the simplicity. The complex is made up of the simple thing. So when we understand the simple things, we bring them together, then we see the picture as a whole. We see the complexity and how this connects with that and that connects with that. That's what we're going with. If you're white, you want to have white children, you want to marry a white person and have children in your own image, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're black and you want to do that, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Anybody telling you otherwise, you can tell them to go to hell. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness, and after his image, and called his name Seth. I married my wife because that's who I chose to marry. Now I have children in my own image based on the wife that I wanted. If I would have married a white woman, then guess what? Those would have been children in my own image based on what I wanted, which would have been marrying a white woman. The question is, well, why would I want that? I don't want that. And it's not that I don't want it because, oh my God, all white women are ugly. Gentiles are not Hebrews. I want to marry, and I want to marry a Hebrew wife. There's nothing wrong with that. Yet you have people that tell you, oh my God, like, what are you talking about? Don't most people marry who they want to marry? Even if a person is black and they marry a white, or they're white and they marry black, don't they marry who they want to marry? So what's wrong with me wanting to marry a light-skinned Hebrew Israelite woman? She could have been light-skinned, she could have been dark-skinned. I want what I want. And therefore now I have children in my own likeness after my image, both physically and spiritually, because I'm not the darkest brother. And we know that we're not really what we call black. We're brown, but we get the point. We understand what we're saying, what people say when they say black. For whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. The first Adam, and then you have the second Adam. The second Adam is Christ, who is what? The image of God. Adam is also made what? In the image of God. Now we broke all that down, what the name of Adam means, and we looked at the dirt and the minerals. We went deep with it, right? In whom the God of this world have blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. Christ is the image of God, and man is made in this image. Now I know what some of you are saying. Well, it's talking about the spiritual image, because he is a Jew who is one inwardly, whose heart has been circumcised, and not the circumcision of the flesh. I know all that, I understand it, but you can't sit here. This is the problem, and this is what I have a problem with people. They act like they're so spiritual that, oh, the physical doesn't matter. It's talking about the spirit, but you act like there is no physical aspect to what we're talking about. Did Christ not come in the flesh? Of course he came in the flesh. So if he came in the flesh, he came as a black man or a white man. It's simple as that. Now you can play word games, Middle Eastern and all this other bull jive. But at the end of the day, he was either black or white. We understand the spiritual, just like we understand the kingdom of God. The spiritual and the kingdom of heaven deals with more so what? The physical. Because the kingdom of heaven is going to come down here on earth. When you look up, that's part of the kingdom of heaven. Which is why we say heaven on earth. You have multiple heavens. Don't let these people play word games with you. But the Gentiles, the Bible says about the Gentiles being grafted in. Of course it does. We don't deny that. We don't teach and preach that Gentiles cannot be saved. But we're not ignorant to the fact of who we are as a physical people. Like some of you like to play games. Concerning his son, Jesus Christ our Lord, which is made of the seed of David, according to what? The flesh. I thought the flesh doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Well, the Bible just told you otherwise. When you have a white Christ, you have another Christ, because Christ did not come from the lineage of the Gentiles. He didn't. He came from the lineage of the seed of David according to the flesh, which was and is a fulfillment of Bible prophecy. So it does matter. Remember that Jesus Christ of the seed of David was raised from the dead according to my gospel. David, Solomon, Adam, Eve, Noah, Shem. We can go down the list. Coming all the way down to Christ. And we know that in that lineage, you had Israelites that married Hamites. We know that for a fact. Which also is where a lot of confusion comes in there. But if you walk in the Spirit, then the Spirit is going to show you who you are and who's who. Which is why people have a tendency on the spiritual level to be drawn to certain things. That's why they use the Bible against us. Because they understood the Bible was spiritual. Speaking to a spiritual people. And we can use their word against them to control them and manipulate them. But nobody asks those questions though. Why did they use the Bible? Why didn't they use the Quran? Why didn't they use any of the other so-called holy books from other religions? Why the Bible? Because it worked. I'm not going to use something as a weapon if it's not going to work. That would be stupid. They used it as a weapon because they knew it would work. Because they knew it would speak to us. Because they already knew who we were. That's why they used the scriptures. What we call Christianity was already around in Africa. This lie that the white man invented Christianity, and Christianity was invented at the Council of Nicaea. But when you go read the Council of Nicaea and Constantine, you find out that they are pretty much hashing out the different Christian beliefs, because there was confusion. He was a ruler. Regardless if you agree with the decision he made or not, he was still the ruler, so he can pretty much do what the hell he want to. Now, if I was there during that time period, I'm like, okay, he did that, but I don't mean I agree with it. Just like you have the president of the United States today, President Joe Biden, or I should say co-president Joe Biden. I don't agree with probably majority of the stuff that he does, but guess what? He's still making decisions. He's still doing stuff, right? The same thing when President Trump was in office. Like I said, when you go actually read what was going on at this Council of Nicaea, how are you inventing something if what you are discussing is already around? You're not inventing something. It was already there. That's historical facts. You can go look up all these African nations that were professed and claimed and declared themselves to be Christian nations way before these people came in. And yet they sit here and lie to you instead of telling you the truth. Oh, Christianity didn't come over and we didn't start doing it until the white man came and forced it and gave it to us when we came over as slaves. That's bull jive. That's a blatant lie. It's a lie against everything. It's not even a lie against the Bible. It's a lie against history. It's a lie against oneself. So the question you must ask yourself is, why do we have to go to those extremes of lying instead of accepting the truth? Just like they lie about the book of demonology. Oh, King James wrote the book of demonology. He was worshiping demons. But when you go read just the synopsis of the book, because I got several copies of it, I got my own copy of the book. I did a modernized 2023 version. One of my best selling, I sold the most copies of books from that book alone. And you're going to find out the book ain't got nothing to do with worshiping no demons. It actually exposes the works of witchcraft and how they operate. Because people were saying, oh, it ain't real. And he was like, no, it's real. Let me show you. But they tell you he wrote a book that was defending demons. Okay, what if he did? Y'all defend demons every single day. So why are you mad because he writing a book defending demons? Y'all worshiping demons, but so he can't? Because he ain't. He wasn't. Lying ass devils. I say then, because people bring up the Gentiles, so let's get it. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid. But rather through their fall, through the fall of Israel, salvation is come unto the Gentiles for to provoke them to jealousy. Israel fell, which opened the door for the Gentiles to be grafted in. God then used the Gentiles, because the Gentiles, a lot of them act like that they're the ones that have always had the light, which is simply not the truth. The Bible tells you, like right here. So God used the Gentiles to do what? To provoke us to jealousy, which is a fulfillment of Bible prophecy, because he said he was going to do that in the book of Deuteronomy, in the book of Leviticus, and in several other places. He said he was going to provoke us to jealousy with these nations that were no nation by bringing them together as a nation, and then them exalting themselves like, hey, we're the one, literally we've always been. And like, no. Just like people tell you that it was white people that established America, which is simply not true. Most of your early slave holders, they were black. I want to say that one more time. Most of your early slave holders of America were black. I want to say it one more time. Most of your early slave holders of America, not Egypt, not Africa, we're talking about over here in America, were black. You had 13 colonies, and then you had a 13 colony before that. The 13 colonies that they talk about is based off of the 13 colonies that was already here as serving as really plantations. They were like outposts for the plantations. Just being real about it. Christopher Columbus was not white. The people that helped Christopher Columbus to get over here were not white. They were Muslim. We went over Christopher Columbus. I've shown you the documents, historical documents, historical records was telling you that Christopher Columbus was not white. I've shown you where they said that none of the images that you see of Christopher Columbus are his actual image. These are artist renditions, something that somebody made up. I've shown you that his name was not Christopher Columbus. He was in I think if I remember correctly, he was in the Navy, and I think the ship got blown up or whatever, and then he deserted the Navy, and then he took on somebody else's name. That's the true history of Christopher Columbus. But no, we want to continue to push this narrative. It was only white folks. Like, y'all give them too much credit. Y'all also give black people too much credit too. Y'all give the devil too much credit. Now, if the fall of them, of Israel, right, be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them, Israel, the riches of the Gentiles, who's the richest people in the world right now? The Gentiles. Why? Because of our fall. How much more their fullness? When Israel, when we as a people come back into Christ, and Christ establishes us as a nation once again during the millennial reign of Christ, you will also have Gentiles who are saved there, ruling with us. Let's get it right. The fullness, in regards to the fullness and the riches of the world, is going to be more than the current riches of the Gentiles. The example I give, if Jeff Bezos is worth 300 billion, then you will be worth 600 billion. But your 600 billion will be actual wealth. So that 600 billion will be a number that you can't even calculate in your brain right now. These people got money, but they're not really wealthy. They don't have silver. Jeff Bezos ain't got 600 billion in gold, silver and gold and precious metals, these different things. He has that money tied up in, a lot of times, stocks. And stocks are based off of what? The people putting their money into it and making the stock prices go up and stuff like that. Because they can manipulate the market and everything. Gold and silver is only so much you can manipulate. Gold is gold and silver is silver. It is what it is. So again, if Jeff Bezos is worth 300 billion, God's gonna say, okay, for double shine, you get double honor, double glory. You get his position. You're gonna be worth 600 billion, but your 600 billion is gonna be literal wealth. You know what I'm saying? Gold, and we talking about the real live wealth. Not no inflated stuff, not no, okay, the market crash, you're not really worth what you're worth. Therefore, that 600 billion can probably be like, let's say 2 trillion or something like that. Some crazy number. I don't know. I'm not there yet. But you get the point, right? Then it goes on and says, for I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify mine office. If by any means I may provoke to emulation what? Them which are my flesh, and might save some of them. He's saying that if there's anything that I can do in righteousness to provoke them to get saved, and I use y'all to do it, then hey, I'm going to do it. Why? For if the casting away of them, of Israel, be the reconciling of the world, because the rest of the world could not have been saved if Israel didn't fall. There would have been no hope for nobody else. But God in his mercy, right? What shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead? Gentiles should want Israelites to get saved and to be saved and come into the fullness of the gospel. Because it means that we get to get on with our lives in righteousness. And if you've done right by God and you've done right by people, you have nothing to worry about. Being a Gentile, you have nothing to worry about. There will be Gentiles where God will give them the position of Israelites who were supposed to get that position, but they continue to rebel, so they're going to hell. For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou, Gentiles, being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them, grafted in among Israel, and with them partakers of the root. Root deals with Christ, deals with the seed, and fatness of the olive tree, the oil. Boast not against the branches. Gentiles don't boast against the Israelites. But if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Thou wilt say then, the branches. Israel was cast away. Israel was cursed, was broken off, that I might be grafted in. Speaking with pride, right? And this is what we see today. You have a whole bunch of Gentiles that are speaking in pride against the natural branches. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and thou standest by faith. What he's saying is, look, if I never do what I did, then you had no hope. Israel, true Israel, and let me explain what I define true Israel is. True Israel are those that are physical Hebrew Israelites of the flesh, and also believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. If a person is a physical Israelite, but they never come to salvation, I don't count them as true Israel. And the Bible doesn't count them as true Israel either. This is why he says all Israel shall be saved. All Israel being saved is those who God knew he was going to save anyway. Yet he still gives the other Israelites a chance to come to salvation, just like he gives everybody else. So if God never does what he does in his wisdom that we cannot fully comprehend, then only true Israel would have been saved, and everybody else would have had no hope. Again, we read verse number 20. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if God spared not the natural branches, if God spared not Israel, take heed lest he also spare not thee. Behold therefore the goodness and severity of God. On them which fell, severity. On Israel, we got the worst of it. But toward thee, goodness, if thou continue in his goodness, otherwise thou also shalt be cut off. So you can act like, oh, I'm part of Israel, I'm grafted in, then God can be like, well, you ain't legit, I'm gonna cut you off just like I cut them off. Because you boasting and you aren't who you really say you are, you taking my name in vain. Judgment to the Jew first and then to the Gentile, right? And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in, for God is able to graft them in again. Replenish, repent, remission, you see these words that the Bible has? To do over again, do something again. For thou wert cut out of the olive tree which is wild by nature. So he took them from their own wild olive tree and then brought them over to the natural good olive tree. You see what I'm saying? For thou wert cut out of the olive tree which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree. How much more shall these, which be the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? He's saying, y'all Gentiles were over here a part of your own wild olive tree. This olive tree was one that was, in good, in the sense of God saw it's good. He took care of it, he pruned it and everything so it can grow the way that he wanted to grow. It didn't grow all type of crazy directions. But he came over. There's a scripture he talks about he has sheep from another flock, another fold to bring in. That's the Gentiles being grafted in. He said, I'm gonna go over here to this. I took y'all out of this wild olive tree and I cut you in, I grafted you in to the good olive tree so you can be a part of this tree. But if you want to act crazy, then I'll take you out and put you back over here. For I would not, brethren, so he's speaking to the Gentiles that have been grafted in, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery. So this is a mystery. The mystery has not been revealed. Lest ye should be wise in your own conceits. That all this is happening because what? That blindness in part is happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. We are seeing the conclusion of the fullness of the Gentiles. How we know? Because the blindness is coming off of Israel, where they are awakening to their physical identity, and a small number are awakening to their spiritual identity in Christ. This is how you know the fullness of the Gentiles is coming to an end. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Gentiles? Doesn't say that. He says they're asking Christ, are you at this time going to again? You see, he said again. At one point in time, Israel had the kingdom, right? We're going to have it once again. Are you at this time going to restore the kingdom to Israel? The kingdom would not be restored to the Gentiles, because the Gentiles rule the kingdoms of the world right now. And he said unto them, it is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power, but ye shall receive power. After that the Holy Ghost is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me, both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Samaria, and unto the uttermost part of the earth. All right, so we got that. Now let's go a little bit deeper with it. The question still remains, why didn't God want Hebrew Israelites according to the flesh, to marry or date what we call, dating white women? Is it because of skin color? Is it because of something else? What is the answer? What the Bible tells us. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. Now I know somebody said, oh, this Old Testament. It's Old Testament. We ain't in the land. Let me ask you a question. Is that the case? There were dietary laws in the Old Testament, right? And we could keep those dietary laws because we were in the land, we had our own cattle, and we grew our own food and stuff like that, right? But right now, we're not in our own land. We don't have our own cattle. We don't grow our own food. We go to the grocery store, right? In the land of our captivity, right? Even though we are in the land of our captivity, does that mean that we just should eat and get to eat anything that we want? I rest my case. Because if you truly love the Lord, then you're not going to want to eat all type of crazy stuff. Why? Because your body is a temple. And this is the reason right here. Verse number 4. Don't make marriages with them. Now again, the bait was white women, but we see it applies to the Canaanite women also, and the Canaanite men. Now, of course, I'm speaking from the perspective of a man, but it's not exclusive to just men. It also applies to women. So if you're a woman, you don't need to be marrying these strangers. You don't need to be marrying these strangers. Let me also add this. One of the reasons why so many women desire Hebrew, I'm gonna keep it specific. One of the reasons why so many women desire Hebrew Israelite men is because of the spirit that's within us, who we are as a people. That's why so many white women desire to have a black man. It's only coming out now because it's being more normalized, but it's always been inside of white women and women of all nations to want to be with the Hebrew Israelite men, because the Hebrew Israelite men were and are supposed to be what? Ambassadors of God, just like Moses. Yet when Christ came, he said that a greater than Moses is here. And then Christ said that we would do greater works than what he did, meaning that we would do greater works than what Moses did. So now in our time period, and don't take this wrong, I'm not disrespecting Moses, but just understand what I'm saying. Now in our time period, a greater than Moses is here. Because Christ came and now we have the indwelling of the Holy Spirit. You see what I'm saying? You have to understand the psychology of people, but you also have to understand, more importantly, the spirit of it all. Like what's going on? Because the spirit is what draws. It's like you talk about chemicals. Chemicals, melanin and stuff like that, pheromones, those are chemicals. Chemicals, a lot of times they're like gases. And gases deal with the spirit. You see what I'm saying? This is why on a biological level, men are naturally drawn to women that have hips. Some of you don't know this, some of you do. Why? Because on a biological level, on a spiritual level, the hips symbolize childbearing. They understand this in the African cultures. You can go look it up. A man naturally is drawn to a woman that has nice breasts. Why? Because what comes forth from it? Milk, to be able to feed the children. Now, does a man always end up with a woman with big breasts or a big butt? No. My wife does not have a big breast. She don't have a big old booty. She's a petite woman, but she has hips. She has the shape of a woman. You see what I'm saying? So naturally on that level, I'm still attracted to her because she has the shape of a woman. For her size, she is voluptuous. She can only be so big. If she's too big, then it ain't gonna be good. Her body ain't gonna be able to handle that weight. I don't want my wife to be how she is and to have no shape. But some people like that. I don't. I need you to have some type of shape. It's not that I've never been with a woman that was drop dead. We say drop dead gorgeous, but she didn't have no booty. She was all face. All box. I've been with women like that. But I'm not married to them now, am I? So again, on a biological level, spiritual level, men are naturally drawn to that. And because the world we live in and things get confused and crossed over, then stuff happens, right? And even when we talk about the pheromones, women are naturally drawn to the smell that men give off, the pheromonal smell that men give off, and also with women. On that biological, dealing with the melanin, also dealing with the spirit, you give off a smell. You give off a smell, and women that have the essence of the smell of a woman, who walk in their feminine power, their God-given feminine power, they are drawn to that natural God-given manly masculine essence. But to a woman that go back to what I was just saying, things happen, things get crossed. To a woman that is more so giving off a masculine smell, because she's walking in this masculine, as we, I'm gonna keep it simple, energy, just power, because her testosterone levels are higher than her estrogen levels. She now sees that man as a threat to her. You see what I'm saying? instead of being drawn to that man because of what he can provide as a man, and that man being drawn to that woman naturally because of what she can provide as a woman to him. This is all scientific, true science, and things you can go look up and confirm for yourself. Now, when we get back to the scriptures, it's the same thing. Different spirits give off different type of smells. Remember, the Holy Spirit a lot of times is symbolized by what? By oil. Oils give off smells, different smells. Almond oil has a smell. Olive oil, which we know olive oil all throughout the Bible, especially dealing with the Holy Spirit, the olive trees, give off a smell. Coconut oil, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. They give off different type of smells. You ever smell oil that's bad? You ever cooked? Of course you have. And then you like, man, this oil is rancid. It needs to be changed. That oil is giving off a different type of smell. You like, no, I'm not gonna cook in that. That's bad oil. Let's go get some new, some fresh oil. When you're talking about these different nations, and sticking to the context, these different women, but specifically white women, not excluding the black women of these different nations though, they give off a different type of smell spiritually. Why? Because they do not have the anointing of the Lord our God. So naturally, your spirit is not going to be drawn to these different women or these different men from these different nations because of the smell. But when you walk in the flesh, you're like, man, these Hittite women, man, these Girgasite women, these Amorite women, these Canaanite women, these Parasite women, these Hivite women, these Jebusite women, these Gentile women, man, you seen that? You seen old girl from Gog? You seen Gog's daughter? Man, she thick. She thicker than some of the Hebrew women. Yeah, man. Oh, so so-and-so already hit that for real? Yeah, she thick, bruh. She thick. You see, you're walking strictly in the flesh. Because I done seen some white women that made me say, good Lord. Not good Lord, but good Lord. My wife done seen them like, good Lord. Y'all done seen them like, good Lord. So let's not, we real here now. We real here. You done seen some women, some white women that made you say, good Lord. What's she, like, how is that real? Who in her line, you know what I'm saying, did she get that from? And then I'm pretty sure there are black women, you done seen some white men where you said, ooh, good Lord. Same thing, right? So let's just be real about it. That white man, he got some swag. He got some soul in him. That brother right there got some soul. You see what I'm saying? Again, spirits give off different type of smells. And this is why, the main reason why God did not want Israel to make marriages with these different nations. Because they were going to lead us away to worship other gods when we were supposed to be the leaders in showing them the right way and how to worship the Lord thy God, and showing them that the gods that they worship serve our God. But you can't do that when you too busy trying to get that booty. You focus on the wrong thing. Now we go back again to verse number 4. This is why. For they will turn away thy son from following who? Following me, following the Most High. That they may serve other gods, which is why we in the situation we're in now. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. Don't do it or you're going to be destroyed, because I already know what y'all going to do. You cannot handle it. You cannot handle it. And I love my exotic women. I've always went for a different type of female that was more exotic, where a person, they will look and say, hey, that's your woman? Like just different. Still beautiful in her own right. She might not even have no booty, but she's still thick. Or she may, not really have any booty, but the way that she dresses, she's still thick. She may have some breasts, but her look is just exotic. Like, man, that's different. That's different. She's beautiful in her own right. And I've always been like that. No matter the woman, I've always saw the beauty in whatever woman that I talk to. And then I would have people, we'll say dudes that come along that may have talked to that female before. And like, man, what do you see in her that I didn't see? Because now she carrying herself different. So then we go to verse number 5, and it says, but thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. He's saying, look, I gotta establish you. You need to be established within your own people first and foremost, or you're going to be influenced by these other nations because they worship other gods. Now we can get deep within. You can talk about, well, what would happen if this white woman, she is grafted in and stuff like that. We'll touch on that a little bit later. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, hath the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him, and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repayeth them that hate him to their face. You see, God ain't no coward. He repays them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hateth him. He will repay him to his face. And he says it again, just in case you didn't get it. Thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command thee this day to do them, which is to do what? To not worship other gods. Wherefore it shall come to pass, if you hearken to these judgments and keep and do them, that the Lord thy God shall keep unto thee the covenant and the mercy which he sware unto thy fathers. And he will love thee and bless thee and multiply thee. He will also bless the fruit of thy womb, and the fruit of thy land, thy corn and thy wine, and thine oil, the increase of thine kind, and the flocks of thy sheep, in the land which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee. We're not in the land now, so he's going to bless you over here. Thou shalt be blessed above all people. There should not be male or female barren among you, or among your cattle. So of course he's saying overall, I'm gonna bless all y'all if y'all are obedient to what I'm saying. We know that we were disobedient. Now we ended up over here. So now we have to come into obedience through repenting and believing the gospel, so we can get back to these promises right here. So he said he's gonna take away all the sicknesses and everything and put the evil disease on Egypt, or in this case America and the rest of the world. There was something else I wanted to hit on that was in here. Yeah, let's go to verse 21. Thou shalt not be affrighted at them, these other nations, for the Lord thy God is among you, a mighty God and terrible. And the Lord thy God will put out those nations before thee by little and little. Thou mayest not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee. But the Lord thy God shall deliver them unto thee, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction until they be destroyed, giving us power over our enemies. That's why I tell you, no white man or black man can stop me. So you're supposed to destroy everything about them and not do and not bring in the abominations that they were doing, lest thou be a cursed thing like it. See that? When thou comest nigh unto a city and fight against it, then proclaim peace unto it. And it shall be, if it make thee answer of peace and open unto thee, then it shall be that all the people that is found therein shall be tributaries unto thee, and they shall serve thee. Now, I want to make sure I gave you that right there, because up here it says, hey, destroy everything. Destroy everything. You have to rightly divide the word of truth. Sometimes, yes, it was, if God said go on and destroy everything, destroy everything. But if you're coming against a city and then you're giving them a chance at peace, and then they make an answer of peace and they say, we'll take your terms, then you make them tributaries. Pretty much they got to pay taxes and do all this other stuff, right? This is the same thing that's going to be happening in the future. The same thing is going to be happening in the future. We come with peace. You want the peace or not? It's just the way it is. That's why I don't vote for no man to rule over me. I got to be conquered. You got to conquer me and show me that you are more powerful for me to bow down to you. Christ did that, so guess what? He is supreme. He is superior to me. He is superior. He is superior king, superior God. So guess what? I bow down to him and serve him. That's just the way it is. I didn't vote for him to rule over me. Because if I had a choice, just to be real about it, we wouldn't vote for Christ to rule over us, because we're wicked. We're wicked. But Christ showed me that, look, I'm supreme. You think you the king? No, I'm gonna show you. And so I bowed down. These are the laws of kingship. These are the laws of queenship. The lower bows down to the greater. It's simple as that. That's why every knee shall bow, because the lesser, which is all of us, will bow down to the greater, Christ. We also see this in many other places. The synagogue of Satan, he said that I will cause them to do what? To come and worship before your feet. They are lesser than us because we are the true Israel, right? The lesser will bow down to us. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor with their gods. It's Old Testament. So you telling me that we supposed to make covenants with their gods? Because you said it's Old Testament. Love is the fulfillment of the law, right? They shall not dwell in thy land, lest they make thee sin against me. For if thou serve their gods, it will surely be a snare unto thee. The way it's supposed to be set up is, if we are in our land and there are people that don't want to serve our God, they cannot dwell in the land, because we will go off and worship other gods. Take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land whither thou goest, lest it be for a snare in the midst of thee. But ye shall destroy their altars, break their images, and cut down their groves. For thou shalt worship no other God. For the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. Lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land. We're not making a covenant. And they go a-whoring after their gods, and do sacrifice unto their gods, and one call thee, and thou eat of his sacrifice. Sin is spreading. So you got one person, they going out whoring after the gods, and they're sacrificing idols, sacrificing food unto their God, and they call you and say, hey, let me show you something. Taste this food. Then you eat of that sacrifice, and you, oh, this is pretty good, like what's going on? Then they take you and show you what's going on, and then it's booty everywhere, because that's what they were doing. They were having big old orgies. And now, like, hey, and then next person, they kept on spreading. And thou shalt take and thou take of their daughters unto thy sons, and their daughters go and whoring after their gods, and make thy sons go and whoring after their gods. This is why. It deals with the spirit, y'all. And it came to pass a long time after the Lord had given rest unto Israel from all their enemies round about, that Joshua waxed old and stricken in age. And Joshua called for all Israel, and for the elders, and for their heads, and for their judges, and for their officers, and said unto them, I am old and stricken in age. And ye have seen all that the Lord your God hath done unto all these nations because of you. For the Lord your God is he that hath fought for you. Behold, I have divided unto you by lot these nations that remain, to be an inheritance for your tribes, from Jordan, with all the nations that I have cut off, even unto the great sea westward. And the Lord your God, he shall expel them from before you, and drive them from out of your sight, and ye shall possess their land, as the Lord your God hath promised unto you. Be ye therefore very courageous, and keep and to do, be ye therefore very courageous, to keep and to do all that is written in the book of the law of Moses, that ye turn not aside therefrom to the right hand or to the left. Stay on the narrow path. That ye come not among these nations, these that remain among you, neither make mention of the name of their gods, nor cause to swear by them, neither serve them, nor bow yourselves unto them, but cleave unto the Lord your God, as ye have done unto this day. For the Lord hath driven out from before you great nations and strong, but as for you, no man hath been able to stand before you unto this day. One man of you shall chase 1,000, for the Lord your God, he it is that fighteth for you, as he hath promised you. Take good heed therefore unto yourselves, that ye love the Lord your God. Else, if you do in any wise go back and cleave unto the remnant of these nations, even these that remain among you, and shall make marriages with them and go in unto them, pretty straightforward, right? And they to you, know for a certainty that the Lord your God will no more drive out any of these nations before you, but they shall be snares and traps unto you. Exact thing going on today. And scourges in your sides, and thorns in your eyes, until ye perish from off this good land which the Lord your God hath given you. Didn't that happen? Of course it did. Now these are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them. He did it back then. He's doing it now. He has left all these nations. You wonder why all these nations are coming in and why God is allowing it? Because it's to prove us. It's to prove us. It's to prove us. Israel, and we ain't talking about Israel over there. Israel is the timepiece. You want to know what's going on in Bible prophecy? All you gotta do is see what's going on with predominantly the black people, mostly who are in America, what we call African Americans. You want to know what's going on in Bible prophecy? That's all you gotta do. They know that. How come you don't know it? Now these are the nations which the Lord left to do what? To prove Israel by them, to prove Israel by these nations. Are you going to do what these other nations are doing, or are you going to do what I tell you to do? And what are our people doing? They are doing what the other nations are doing. From everything down to what you eat. Most people eat according to how these other nations eat. They go on by their food pyramid. When we know as black folk, we need more iron. They're telling you to be vegan. But when you are vegan, you don't get as much iron as you need. I mean, you can be a vegan, but you better make sure that you up on it. I don't want to get too deep into that because that's a whole nother sermon. But the thing is that they're acting like they represent God in regards to what you are or not supposed to eat. And all it is pulling you away to worship their gods. That's what it boils down to. It really has nothing to do with your health. They don't care about your health. Just like they tell you, oh, sugar. Stay away from it. What does it say that in any true scientific research, when fruit is mostly sugar, so that means stay away from fruit, stay away from processed sugar. But what happens if I get sugar that's good, that's natural sugar, that God made? That means it serves a purpose. Too much of anything is bad. If you drink too much water, you'll get sick. If you drink too much water, it will wash out most of your nutrients, and then it's like you didn't even eat anything. You gotta drink all this water. No, you drink when you're thirsty. That's what you do. You drink when you're thirsty. Your body's gonna tell you. You're drinking too much sugary stuff, guess what? Them kidneys are gonna kick you. Them kidneys gonna start hurting. I need to drink some water. But back to the sugar thing. They tell you stay away from sugar. They don't tell you to stay away from bad sugar. But then they don't tell you to stay away from maltodextrin. I just made a post about this. Maltodextrin spikes your blood sugar worse than sugar. Maltodextrin spikes your blood sugar more than sugar. I'm talking about the white sugar, the processed sugar they strip all the nutrients from and then add stuff back into it, which, yeah. Let's continue on. Only that the generations of the children of Israel might know, to teach them war. He leaves these nations so he can prove us by these nations, by teaching us to war against these nations. How? Spiritually. We're not fighting a physical war right now with literal swords and weapons and guns and stuff like that. We're fighting, and it's always been, but you get my point, spiritual war. So he's proving us. You're gonna do what these nations do and marry the enemy that we're fighting against, or you're gonna fight with us. Again, only that the generations of the children of Israel might know, to teach them war, at the least such as before knew nothing thereof. He's saying that there are ones that don't know anything about war. They can't defend themselves. They can't defend nobody. They have to learn. Namely, 5 lords of the Philistines, and all the Canaanites, and all the Sidonians, and the Hittites that dwelt in Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal Hermon unto the entering in of Hamath. And they were to prove Israel by them, to know whether they would what? Hearken unto the commandments of the Lord, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses. You see, I don't have to worry about that because I'm in Christ now. I'm fighting against these nations. Ain't no being proved by them in that sense. I've made my choice. What about those that haven't? They're still riding the fence. Now I'm proving other ways, but in the sense of proving me to see if I'm gonna keep the commandments, that's a wrap. And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, as we do today, the Hittites, as we do today, and Amorites, as we do today, Perizzites and Hivites and Jebusites and Gentiles, as we do today. And they took their daughters to be their wives, as we do today, and gave their daughters to their sons, as we do today, and served their gods, as we do today, and even worse. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, as we do today, and forgot the Lord their God, as we do today, and served Balaam and the groves, as we do today. Worse than what they did. Therefore the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of, how do you pronounce his name, king of Mesopotamia. And the children of Israel served this king of Mesopotamia 8 years. Now when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations, even of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites. For they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. When you mingle the flesh, you're also mingling spirit. That's why some of you are confused. Some of you have a predisposition to be drawn to certain things because of the mixing of the flesh, mixing of the DNA. Moment of silence. Let that really process in your brain. Why am I attracted to this or drawn to that? Because it's in your DNA. And you have dominant and recessive genes, which means you have dominant and recessive sin. You have sin that's going to be more dominant in you, and you have other sin that's going to be recessive. Doesn't mean that you won't commit the recessive sin. It just means that you're more prone to do the dominant sin in you. Well, what's the dominant sin for you, Brother King? Fornication? Sex? I love sex. Some people don't like it that much. They're like, I love it. I enjoy it. Some of you like, hey man. But what do? We enjoy it the wrong way. We grow up, we enjoy it the wrong way. Instead of enjoying it the way that is intended to be enjoyed, which is in marriage. Some of you may be liquor. Liquor would be recessive for me. I'm not drawn to liquor and alcohol like that. I take a sip every now and then. You know, I drink a bottle of wine with my wife. But I don't need it. I don't have to go every week or, you know, whatever and go get me some liquor, some alcohol. If I never had another drink of alcohol in my life, I'm not gonna, you know, feel some type of way. But if I don't get no sex for the rest of my life, I'm gonna feel some type of way, because that's what I enjoy more than I enjoy alcohol. For other people, again, they may enjoy alcohol more than they enjoy sex. Are we allowed to drink alcohol? Of course you can drink alcohol. But you're supposed to drink it in moderation, not when you're getting drunk. The Bible says to drink a little wine for your infirmities. This whole notion of, oh, you're not allowed to drink alcohol. Touch not, taste not. Like, who are you to tell me that I can't drink no liquor in the comfort of my home with my wife? If I want to get a little tipsy with my wife, and we have a tipsy time, not between us, that's nobody else's business. I'm not getting drunk and say, we're so drunk, let's go have an orgy and have a big old party. And, like, come on, man. Stop letting people dictate to you what you can or cannot do in your life when they don't even know what life is. That's like somebody telling me, y'all know I'm gonna keep it real. I like somebody telling me that I can't go get some, let's say, edible underwear and you know, I ain't gotta explain it. And do what I do with my wife. You ain't finna sit here and tell me what I ain't finna do with my wife. If she cool with it and it ain't going outside the lines where, okay, this is sin. We finna bring somebody else in. We finna, baby, let's watch some pornography. Like, we ain't finna do all that. If I want to go get some edible panties or whatever, and we have fun, then that's on us. We ain't committed no sin. And if you want to do that, you ain't committed no sin. You want to get some lingerie or whatever for your wife, and you into that type of stuff, and y'all do it, and it confines to your home, confines to your marriage, the marriage bed is not defiled. You want to get some chocolate or, you know what I'm saying, honey or whatever, and do your thing, have at it. Have at it. Enjoy yourself. Experiment and enjoy those experiences with your husband or with your wife. Just don't go above and beyond what you're supposed to go above and beyond. Doing stuff that you know is wrong. So again, for they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, excuse me, the hand of the princes and rulers have been chief in this trespass. The top people were the very ones that was the most guilty. And then it came down, the rest of the people seen it and said, hey, if they're doing it, then it's okay for us to do it. That's just the way it goes. Which is why when you are in a position of leadership, everybody want to be a pastor, but nobody really wants to hold themselves accountable to what it means to be a pastor. When I say nobody, of course, I'm speaking about the majority, because Christ said what? Many are called, but few are chosen. You're supposed to live up to the example that was set by God. And when I heard this thing, I rent my garment and my mantle and plucked off the hair of my head and of my beard and sat down astonished. Like, how could they do this? Everything we've been through. They go get these strange women and go worship these strange gods, which is why we're in the mess we are in the first place. Instead of staying amongst your own kind, because they understand, they know the ways of the Lord. That's what it boils down to. The spirit. Because there's beautiful women in every single tribe, nation you can find. The most beautiful women you ever seen in your life. In the context of what we're speaking about, you can go to the Gentiles and you got to weed through. You can find some of the most beautiful white women you ever seen in your life. You go see them like, I didn't even know these white women existed. I didn't seen them. Like, where they come from? Why are they so thick? They thick like black women. And just looking exotic. And you know, a lot of white women, they top heavy. So they top heavy and they bottom heavy. Y'all didn't seen them. Some of you have, some of you haven't. But what about the spirit though? Let's say I wasn't married. Found one of the most beautiful white women in the world where everybody, don't matter black, white, like, good Lord. But she ain't saved. I'm going to be so enamored by her beauty, she's going to know it, that she's going to use that and lead me away to worship false gods. Rather, she's doing it purposely or ignorantly. Because remember, we're dealing with the spirit. She's not saved. If she's not saved, she really don't have no protection. So who's influencing her? And then she has her own upbringing in regards to what she was taught by her parents or what she was taught by society or whatever. She's going to use that most likely to influence me in my actions, which are going to lead me to do what? To worship false gods. And then I'm going to have children by her. And then they will be taught these different things and there will be confusion. Instead of, hey, this is what I believe. I'm going to go find somebody that believes what I believe. We're going to have children and we're going to raise them up in the ways of what we believe, which is the word of God. So there is no spiritual confusion. Once they get older, then they have a choice to make. If they decide to go talk to some heathen women, rather they are white or black, hey, don't bring her home. Don't bring her home. Because we are not going to go for it. In those days also saw I Jews that had married wives of Ashdod and Ammon and of Moab. These are black women. The Moabites, come on now. From Lot's lineage, if I'm not mistaken, Ammon and Moabites. Ammonites and Moabites from Lot's lineage. Black women. But we know the problem with the Moabites and the Ammonites that they had with Israel. They were not following the ways of the Most High. Again, this means that this sermon isn't exclusive to white women. It also deals with black women. And their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod and could not speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people. Everything has gotten mixed. Now we speak English. And what did God say he's going to do in the future? He's going to restore a pure language. Restore a pure language. And I contended with them and cursed them and smote certain of them and plucked off their hair and made them swear by God, saying, Ye should not give your daughters unto their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons or for yourselves. Now look at this. Did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things? How did Solomon sin by these things? We know, but we're going to look at it. Yet among many nations was there no king like him, who was beloved of his God, and God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause to sin. Y'all want all these women, but you can't even handle the one you got or the one you don't got. You want to be in a polygamous marriage with all these women, but you can't even handle one. You can barely handle yourself. You can barely afford yourself talking about having 2 and 3 and 4 wives. And we do have a sermon on that for those who are curious. Shall we then hearken unto you to do all this great evil, to transgress against our God in marrying strange wives? When you marry strange wives, you marry strange gods. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. You marry strange husbands, you marry strange gods. And it's even worse because they are your head. What did Solomon do? We know what Solomon did, but let's just get it. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh. Yes, it does mean what you think it means. Orgy. And there are other scriptures that say it. Women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, Solomon had them all. He was like, man, them Moabite women, they do this, they do that. These Ammonites, they do this, they do that. Them Edomite women, good Lord, they do this and they do that. These Zidonians, oh my God. Oh, these Hittites, oof, let me tell you about them. Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their God. Solomon clave unto these in love. They cost them. They cost them. This is why they exalt Solomon today with the whole 666 thing and, all the stuff that Solomon was into. It's a way of them using Solomon to exalt their gods because of what Solomon did. Now just imagine Solomon would have had nothing but Israelite women. Things would be a little bit different, wouldn't they? And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods. They waited till he got weak. When we get older, we get weaker. He couldn't fight as much. He gave in. He gave in. When he got older, his women were supposed to help strengthen him to a certain standpoint. Just continue to be there to support him. Not take advantage of his old age. Even though he should never did in the first place when he was young. And his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. This is what he's talking about in the book of Ecclesiastes. Solomon's saying, I didn't did it all. Solomon's saying, I didn't did it all. Solomon said, anything you could imagine that you could do during that time period, I did it all because I had the power, I was king, and I had the money. Who gonna stop me? He said, I'm going to see for myself. Now, I go see for myself too, but it stopped at a certain point. I go ask questions, but I ain't getting involved in that. Like, I go to a witch doctor and say, hey, what do you believe? What does this mean? When they start talking about doing this and doing that, nope, I'm out. Not finna happen. Not finna happen. But if I can have a conversation with one, because I have, and a lot of times they're pretty interesting conversations, because when you're real with them and you're talking to them in a spiritual sense, letting them know what's up, they will tell you the truth. And the reason they will tell you the truth is because they know what's up. They know that we are at war. They're not worried about the ones that are under their spells. So they don't keep it real with them, but they keep it real with us. Just like they kept it real with Christ. We know who you are. We know what's going on. We know what's up. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. Then Solomon built an high place for Shemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrifice unto their gods. Dang, Solomon. Dang. And the Lord was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice. God gave him grace, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which the Lord commanded. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, For as much as this is done unto thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes which I commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. Notwithstanding, in thy days I will not do it for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. Howbeit, I will not rend away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen. And the Lord stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed of Edom. Most likely, Solomon was sleeping with one of the king's daughters, and they were cool with it at first until God stirred them up to come against them. And Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods, and the people did eat. Did I just tell you something always dealing with food? It's always something dealing with food when it comes to witchcraft. And bowed down to their gods. And Israel joined himself unto Baal Peor, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. Now, we know that love is the fulfillment of the law. The first commandment is to love your Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. You cannot truly love the Lord if you are a believer and then go marry a non-believer, because the Spirit isn't gonna tell you to go and do that. Now, I know what some people were thinking, so let's go ahead and address it. I understand. I know the story of Hosea, but if you're going to try to make the argument that God had Hosea marry a whore, so it's okay for us to do it as believers, then you should go build an ark just like Noah. Let's use some spiritual common sense. You got to understand, it's different. It's different though if both of you got married as non-believers and then one gets saved. That's different, and we'll look at that a little bit later. So not only did we have this incident with Solomon, but we have this incident right here that involved Israel, Balaam, and Balak. Balaam was the prophet. Balak wanted him to come against Israel. He wouldn't do it until he tried to be sneaky about it, and he told Balak how to get to Israel. And pretty much he told him, send the most beautiful women that you could find down there, and that's how you will get them to fall. And because of that, them sleeping with these strange women, God will take the blessing off of them and bring judgment upon them. And then you have what you desire. So that's what happened. And this is what this is talking about right here. Then we go down to 2 Peter, and it says, but these is natural brute beasts, made to be taken and destroyed. Or what happened to always loving your enemies? We just did a sermon on that. Y'all can go check it out for those who haven't. Speak evil of the things that they understand not. A lot of people speak evil of the things that I preach about because they don't understand it. and shall utterly perish in their own corruption. And they shall receive the reward of unrighteousness, as they that count it pleasure to riot in the daytime. Spots they are and blemishes, sporting themselves with their own deceivings while they feast with you, having eyes full of adultery, and that cannot cease from sin, beguiling unstable souls, and heart they have exercised with covetous practices, cursed children, which have forsaken the right way, and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Besor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness. You want to be in this category? I don't think you do. But I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, which was these strange women, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication. I've dealt with women like this, and they are very, very powerful, very manipulative. They would say it's so good, you would think that it's from God. I'm just being honest. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I done dealt with some high level witches. One witch was when I was going to say still wet behind the ears. That's how long ago it was. She worded it so good, I was like, yeah. And the Holy Spirit pretty much slapped me. He said, don't you believe that lie? But the way she was wording it, it was truth, but it was so manipulative that it sounded like the truth. And she was like, if two people love each other, and they truly love each other, and they're committed to each other, and they come together, then how are they committing fornication if they truly love each other within their heart? I can't remember how she worded it exactly, but it was something like that. But the way she worded it, I was like, yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, if they, and I think I said something back, and then she came back with something else. And the Holy Spirit was like, don't you believe that? That's manipulation. It is a manipulation. It's simply not true how she was saying it. There were certain aspects that she was saying was true. And the Holy Spirit told me to get away from her. He said, get away from her, or you're going to find it the hard way. Now we jump down to 2 Corinthians chapter 6. Because we mentioned earlier, a few minutes ago, that it's different if both of you got married as a non-believer and then one of you got saved. It says, be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? If you are, in the context what we're speaking about, a Hebrew Israelite, why would you want to go marry a Gentile that's not saved anyway? Because she's shaped like a black woman? Just pray the Lord helps you to find a Hebrew Israelite woman that's shaped like a black woman. I understand the appeal of an exotic woman. A white woman that is shaped like a black woman would be considered exotic because it's something different. I'm speaking from the perspective of a man. I know some of you women, you don't understand that. But a man can sleep with a woman like that and it just be sex. Men can do that. Does it make it right? Doesn't make it right because it's still fornication. But women come in, they try to do the same thing. And because women are wired differently in that way, it messes them up more. Because they try to be as a man. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I just want to lay that out there to give you some things to think about. I'm telling you from the perspective of a man. Men would tell you this. If a man is telling you that, you might want to believe him. Don't go into your own fantasy land and make up what you want to make up. Men will tell you that they can sleep with this woman and the woman means nothing. You may say, well, how? We can't explain it. Again, I'm not justifying the action of fornication. I'm just saying that a man can do that and still have his main boo thing or whatever. I used to do it back in the day. I would tell women, hey, I got a girlfriend. It's my main girl. Boom, boom, boom. What's up? I'm not leaving her. Okay. And they was down with it. Worked every single time by telling them the truth because they wanted what they wanted. And they didn't mean anything to me. It was just what it was. It was sex. They got attached later on, but I had my way of handling that. Continuing on. If I here for another hour just preaching on that. And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? And what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? Strange women lead you to do what? Worship idols. And most Gentile women, they don't believe what we believe. So they're going to lead you to worship their gods and their idols and their way of life. For ye are the temple of the living God, as God hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Again, this sermon is not just talking about white women. We've seen the Jebusites, the Girgashites, women, not Jebusite, but the Girgashite women, Ammonite, Moabite, Canaanite, Edomite, we can go down the list. Wherefore come out from among them and be ye what? Separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. And I will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord Almighty. But I speak this by permission and not of commandment. So he's giving his wisdom based on the wisdom that God had given him. For I would that all men were even as myself. Paul, he had the power, he had the strength to be able to not have to get married. He had that level of self-control in regards to sexual self-control. Everybody ain't like that. I need to be married. I ain't gonna lie. I need to be married because I love sex. I love how God made sex in regards to what it's for. I love the beauty of a woman, how God made a woman, everything about a woman, right? As men should. But for some people, it's higher than others. We talked about that earlier. So I need to be married. And I'm gonna keep it PG, the explosion that comes along with sex and pleasing a woman is an art to it. But that's for grown folks. Some of you ain't ready for that type of conversation. You want to talk about it? We can talk about it in private, or maybe I'll make a video on it one day. I think I do have one. I just haven't released it yet. It's for grown folks. But continuing on, it says, for I would that all men were even as I myself, but every man hath his proper gift of God, one after this manner and another after that, which is exactly what we were just saying. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. So he said, okay, if you are unmarried, if you're not married and you are a widow, hey, it's best for you to remain not married if you have that proper gift of God. But if they cannot contain, meaning they like me, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. It is better to marry than to burn. This is where wisdom comes in. Now, let me give you some more wisdom with this. You should be mature in your faith, that as a man of God and a woman of God, if y'all have an issue, but y'all both love the Lord, you should be able to come together and say, hey, we need to be married because I'm burning with this lust and desire. And they have that same issue. Or you explain it to them. Y'all should be able to sit down, come to agreement and say, let's get married. This whole, sweep you off your feet stuff, like, that's not real life. It doesn't happen like that all the time. And what you end up doing is you end up buying into this fantasy, this Disney fantasy land version of life that they are selling you, that you end up burning even more when you could have already been married. Because you, as an adult, you say, hey, this is what I want, this is what I got going on, what you want to do? You a believer, I'm a believer, you know that this person is a true believer, and y'all can dwell together. Like, it's going to work. Why would it not work? Y'all both love the Lord. The issue is if y'all don't love the Lord. Or the issue is if you don't discern and you end up marrying this person and find out, man, they aren't who I thought they were. Well, that's your fault. But if both of y'all truly love the Lord, then why can't y'all sit down and have an adult conversation, a spiritual conversation, and say, hey, let's make this happen. And then get married and enjoy life. Have children, have as much sex as you can have. And I'm pretty sure you will enjoy it because you're not going to feel guilty about it. See, that's that grown folks talk. This is the stuff that they aren't teaching in the church buildings. Why? Because they want to hold power over the people, but unrighteously. You see, I hold power over the people, but I also give you the power through the word, teaching you things that maybe you didn't know, teaching you things that maybe, hey, you never heard that, teach you things like, you know what, dang, that really helped me. That gave me a different perspective. Then it goes on in verse number 10, and unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband. So if you're already married, you don't need to be leaving because you don't have justification to leave. I can't be like, I'm married, my wife ain't pleasing me, I'm out. I can't do this to go get another wife. I can't do that. I have no justification for leaving. Now, of course, it says the wife, but also the husband too. There's no justification for me to leave. Then it says, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. So it also addresses the husband too. What happens is you have two people that get married. They're both lost. And then in the marriage, one will get saved. So they're saved. In the context, let's say it's the wife. The wife gets saved. It's a commandment. Hey, don't depart from your husband. She's saved, but he's not. Don't depart. But if she does depart, because she's like, I can't deal with his ways. I can't deal with this. She has to remain unmarried because in her mind, she think, okay, I'm going to depart from my unbelieving husband because, hey, we got married when we were both lost. And now I can go marry somebody that's saved. No. Now, if that husband cheats, fornication, even, beating on her, stuff like that, now you have grounds for her divorcing, and then she can go and get remarried. But if she's just leaving because he is unsaved, and now she is saved, and he treats her well and take care of her and stuff like that, and he ain't cheating on her, then no, she can't leave. And also for the husband too. Then it goes on and says, but to the rest speak I, not the Lord. He's speaking from wisdom. He's not saying that, hey, this is a command, but he's speaking based on the wisdom that God had given him at a particular point in time. Now, we know from this time up until now, more wisdom has been given. Let me give you another example. They didn't have Facebook and social media back then. So they couldn't really give commandments based on how to do that. They could only really give the wisdom that they had and speak on the situation. They didn't have artificial intelligence. Now we do. We not only have a better understanding of this scripture, but we have more understanding, just like we have more understanding of how to navigate in the digital world, using artificial intelligence, using social media, and so on and so on and so on and so on. It's not that, okay, this isn't necessarily a commandment, but he was just speaking, hey, I'm going to give you the best wisdom I can give you based on what I have. And y'all hear me say that too. I'm not telling you this is a commandment, but I'm telling you what I do currently know. Until the Lord reveals something else to me, I'm not going to speak past what the Lord has given me. Because if I do that, then that would be sin. He goes on to say, if any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. It's kind of like the same thing. The wife, she wants to depart from her husband. No, you need to stay. Because you have no reason to leave. Why? He's going to tell you why. And the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife. Maybe you are black, you married white. Maybe you are white and you married black. Should you get a divorce? He's telling you what to do right here. He's telling you what to do right here. Is the justification to leave? Y'all already married. Y'all already married. I'm pretty sure once you grow in your knowledge, you be like, okay, I probably would have did things a little bit differently. I ain't telling you go tell your husband or wife that, but I'm just being real. You stay there. You got your marriage. You deal with whatever you got to deal with, because that's the choice that you made. That's the choice that you made. So you got to deal with everything that comes along with being married to the person that you were married to. Now, if y'all can't live at peace, then y'all can separate. But if there's no grounds for divorce, then no. And this also kind of like plays into divorce and stuff like that, because I've never done a proper sermon on divorce and remarriage. Most of it has been like direct one-on-one counseling with people in that regard. So this kind of like ties into that also. Let's read verse 13 again. And if the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. So he's telling you everything, by the children and everything. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart, or let her depart. Like, look, I can't deal with your ways. I can't deal with this whole God thing you're talking about. Let him go. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases, but God hath called us to peace. For what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband? Or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife? This is why he tell you to stay. If y'all can stay together and be at peace, stay, because hey, eventually they will most likely get saved. But if y'all can't live at peace, one of y'all gotta go. Or in this case, both of y'all, I guess. And then let me see. Yeah, so that was 1 Corinthians 7, 6 through 16. Then we jump down to verses 39 and 40. The wife is bound by the law as long as her husband liveth. That's Old Testament and New Testament. Why? Because you're dealing with the law of love. But if her husband be dead, she is at liberty to be married to whom she will. Look what he says, only in the Lord. So let's say that she had a husband that was an unbeliever. They lived at peace. They dwelt with each other. Or let's even go further with it. The wife was white, and the husband was a black Hebrew Israelite. The husband dies. Let me break it down a little bit more. The wife is a white woman who came into the knowledge of the Lord Jesus Christ. The husband is a Hebrew Israelite, but he ain't living the way he talking about living. So she stays with him. They can live at peace. He dies. Now that he dies, she is at liberty, this white woman who believes in the Lord Jesus Christ, to marry whom she will. So she can go marry a white man that's in the Lord, but she can't backtrack and go marry a white man that's lost. Or she can go marry a black man that's in the Lord. She can't go and say, okay, I'm gonna go marry another black man because hey, that's what I like. I'm gonna go marry me another Hebrew Israelite man, and then he's just like her husband. He don't really truly believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. Only in the Lord. You see what I'm saying? And we can play with this different ways. We can say, you know what I'm saying, a black woman married to a white man. I mean, or a black woman married to a black man. We can do this any type of way. But the point is only in the Lord after the fact. There isn't backtracking. Let's take me for example. I know that I'm a Hebrew Israelite. I also believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm married to a black woman. She also believes. Let's say that she dies, she passes away. I'm at liberty to marry whom I please, but only in the Lord. I can't go backwards and say, you know what? I'm going to go marry me a lost black woman, or I'm going to go marry a lost white woman. I can't backtrack. And even for me, I'm not going to go marry a white woman. I don't care how beautiful she is. For me, I can't do it. For somebody else, hey, like a white woman, she can go marry that black man. But then that black man has to decide that, hey, I want to marry you. For me, my testimony, I can't do it. Not that, oh, I don't like women. I done been with some white women, some bad white women. But for my testimony, I have to stay within, of course, marrying somebody that's in the Lord, but also that would be a Hebrew Israelite. For my testimony. Somebody else's may be a little bit different. Then it goes on and says, then it goes on in verse 40, it says, but she is happier if she abide after my judgment. And I think also that I have the Spirit of God. So he says, okay, her husband dies. She's at liberty to marry whom she will, but she will probably be happier if she stays unmarried. If she stays unmarried. And he said, you know what I'm saying? I'm not speaking as a commandment, but I'm speaking it based on having the Spirit of God. Another reason that I couldn't do it in regards to my testimony is because we don't have many strong examples of strong black families as it is. And if my wife dies before Christ comes and I go marry a white woman, that's not having a strong example of a strong black family in Christ. So I rather, let's say, in my mind, I want to be with a white woman. For whatever reason, I want to be with a white woman. I will still be led by the Spirit and say, you know what? Even though I want to be with a white woman so bad, I still need to go marry a black woman that truly believes on the Lord Jesus Christ to be that example for others. You see what I'm saying? So for me, I wouldn't be able to do it because of that. We don't have many examples. So why not be the example? I love my black women. But does it mean that I won't sleep with a white woman? Don't mean that. Because I have. Because I have. I'm not going to sit here and lie. But I like what I like. Just like people like what they like. So, I think I got a few more. Yeah, one more. How can two walk together except they be agreed? If you have made it this far, congratulations. Because as you see, this sermon didn't just apply to white women, but I was speaking from the perspective of a man. And how, we would go off and we would worship false gods because of the women that we talk to. That includes what? White women and black women. The word even tells you, I didn't put the scripture up here, but the word even tells you that a married man seeks to please his wife in this world. Not saying that he don't seek to please Christ, but if he was single, because he had the power to remain single and not fornicate or slip up, which would still be fornication, then he would be more so focused on the things of the Lord, and also with the woman. And a woman that's married, she seeks to please her husband. Yet that same scripture tells us, those that be married, husbands that are married, be as though you have no wife. Meaning, don't focus so much on how you can please your wife. Don't forget why you're here. You're here to serve the Lord first and foremost. And I always take that to heart. Because do I want to please my wife? Of course I do. I'm her husband. That's bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. I want to give her the best of the best. Yet, I can't get so focused on pleasing my wife and giving her the best, as we say, the best things in life. The best food, best cars, best clothes. Of course, who doesn't want to do that? Who doesn't want their woman to have the best? If they don't, then they can kick rocks. They stupid. Any man is going to tell you they want their wife to have the best of the best if they are a real man. But I can't get so focused on that I lose focus on what I'm supposed to be focused on. Hence, staying focused for Jesus. As I matured in life, a lot of women, both black and white, that I came across, I realized that I couldn't talk to them. I couldn't be with them. Not because of the flesh or I should say, or them lacking beauty. It was their spirit. Their spirit was different than mine. And we close with this scripture again. Can two walk together except they be agreed? So, should a Hebrew Israelite of the flesh marry a white woman? No, because most white women, they don't believe what you believe. Now, we can make an argument of, what if that white woman is a believer? That's what I mentioned earlier. Now you talk about getting really, really personal with it in regards to why do you want to marry this white woman? Like, why do you really want to marry her? Why do you really want to marry this black man? These are the questions that we don't ask. And we were honest with ourselves, then we would get some answers that when I say we, I mean people, we really couldn't handle. Or why one person wants to marry another person. A lot of times it has nothing to do with love. And once you do that, then you see, okay, yeah, there's no reason for me to really marry you because this ain't really based on love. So, hopefully this has given you some things to think about. I know some people are going to disagree with probably a majority of what I said, and they're going to do what they want to. Let me know how that turns out for you. Like I said, this ain't just a sermon that's exclusive to white women. With that being said, God bless each and every one of you in Jesus Christ's name. As always, stay focused for Jesus. As you know, the truth is not debated, it is declared. With that being said, God bless each and every one of you in Jesus Christ's name. As always, stay focused for Jesus. And as you know, the truth is not debated, It is declared.
Thanks for waking up with us.